I'm staring up at the loft. I'm going to give something a try. I think all my videos tend to be about I've broken something, I'm trying to fix something, I've added something, whatever it happens to be. And I thought what I rarely do or never do is actually just show the days when I do just go up and play with trains, because it does happen. So I've strapped a phone to my head, and what I'm going to try and do is go up there from a cold start, describe everything I do, turning the thing on, getting it all up and running, and then how I control the trains, what I do. So let's give it a go, see how I do. So up the rickety ladder. The first thing is I have a couple of light switches just there so that I can see what I'm doing as soon as I get in. Up onto dry land, and what I really need to remember to do this time is close this loft hatch, because I'm not going to be concentrating on what I'm doing, and I've got a big phone on my head that makes it a little bit more difficult to see than normal. So down here, this is kind of where all the control is. The PC that's down there, that's the thing that has the MQTT server on it, which controls all the messages for the accessories, and it's got Gemini on it as well. Now I can't actually reach the power button, but fortunately I found a BIOS setting that when set, it turns itself on when it gets mains power. So now I've done that, I can hear it starting up. What's also down here and also gets switched on at the same time is the command station, which are these two bits here. This is just an Uno running DCC, is it X plus, EX plus? And this is a, if I can get around, this is a 15 amp motorboard. It wasn't very expensive, maybe under £20. And then it's tamed using a couple of fuses that are down there and a hall sensor to 5 amps. And it's worked really well. Actually, I haven't had any trouble with it since I put it in. I think I did do a video about it, so I'll try and put a card to it if I can remember and find it. So the computer started itself up. I'm going to start all the accessories up as well. So that's just the lights, and then I've got a lot of 5 amp stuff down here, and then there's a Galileo. I'm not going to go into details here, but these are all just kind of little computers that control all of the various servos and lights and signals and sensors and relays and electrofrog, everything else. So that's got all of that started up. And then there are 2 very similar boards along here. One just down there, which I'll get started up, and then another one down in this corner I'll get started up as well. Everything has a little fidget and mess about when it starts up, but they do tend to settle down. So over at the computer, and this is kind of the general control station. Well, yeah, I'm probably better off describing it as it starts up. Now, Panel Pro has been giving me a little bit of trouble of late, so it's going to be interesting to see if it does it now. If it does, I'll pause the video, because it seems to have a little bit of a problem. Oh, no. I'll skip over that. Sometimes it loads instantly, sometimes it takes ages to load. This was an instant load, which is good news. So, we're kind of ready to go now. Everything's powered up and ready. It's probably a good moment to describe. This is kind of what they call the WiThrottle server, and this is a little IP web server type thing that enables me to control the layout from wireless devices like tablets, phones, that kind of thing. I could control it from this keyboard, but it would be clunky, and I don't. The only reason why there's a trackpad here is there isn't enough room for a mouse. I don't really like using trackpads. And I'd have my back to most of the layout as well. So although it would be possible, I really don't fancy doing it. So what this WiThrottle gives me, if I grab a nearby phone and it still recognises my face even though I've got a camera on my head, is engine driver, an app, and I've got all kinds of, I've got maybe 2 tablets there, another tablet there, another phone under there somewhere, so I can keep going as well. Each device by default gives me 3 throttles, so I can control 3 trains. Every now and again I'll need maybe 1 or 2 more, so I can just grab another device from somewhere and set off with that as well. A preference I have as well is I have the emergency stop and power buttons on all of the apps. You kind of have to go into preferences and add them, but I tend to, you know, when I need an emergency stop and a power button, I need it quickly, so they're always there, just for convenience. So over here then, this is where everything starts. What I try and do at the end of every time I'm playing with train and have them running is get everything parked in here. And that's especially important now because there's so much baseboard around here now. When there is a train running around on the lower deck, I can't actually see it. So I'd forget, if I just left one halfway around, I'd forget it was there, bring another one out today and crash into it. So I really try and make a point of parking everything in here where I can see it. So let's get the layout started up, and now I need to I guess get a train going. So let's go with that new one, the regional 1-4 whatever it is down there. And so first thing I need to remember when I'm setting a train off is there are all these points down here, and I could never remember which ones to set. So I've got routes set that set the route from the kind of, there are 2 main lines that go around from those main lines into the specific storage line that I want. The way I've got this yard set up is each yard has a bypass line. This is the one for the anti-clockwise one, and the one for the clockwise line is way under there. And they come through, it's kind of probably difficult to find now, but they come through the fewest number of points possible, just so that I guess I'm minimizing the risk of derailments. But there are so many points in the yard themselves, I'd always get it wrong if I tried to set them. So what I've done is I've created lots of routes which are accessible from these phones. So if I was going to go for that one, wasn't I? So that's number 1, that's on the clockwise line, and it's number 1 because it's the lowest. So I'm going to hit that. I can hear a few motors moving, which is a good sign, and let's head it out. It doesn't need to go that fast. Now it's made it out. Now what these routes do is they set the way in and the way out for those lines. So at the minute there's a route set at that end of the layout to come back into that storage line, which I don't want because there's a train right at the end. So what I now need to do is go and set another route, which is the main through route, which is kind of close all of the yards off and just have the main line running. So that's what's set on there, and that should come through and do that. I'll get something, it looks like I've only got the short trains at the front, but I'll get something going on the anti-clockwise line as well. Let's get the let's try that super sprinter. So again, I'm going to go into the routes. I always try and set the route first because I'll forget. If not, once I get the throttle for the train, I'll just send it off into a short circuit or derailment because it won't be set. So that's on anti-clockwise line 3, so I'm going to go for anti-clockwise line 3, and again just give all the slow points a little bit of time to sort themselves out. Go find the super sprinter, set it off. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get control of the class 91, and I've got to do all this quickly. There is some automation. There's very little automation on the layout at the minute, and I'm going to set the route just so that again that super sprinter doesn't come in. So we've got here we go. This isn't me driving this, but the 91 has discovered that there's space in front of it and it's moving forward, but at the minute they don't always stop when they get to the front. That one has, fortunately. So I just had the throttle there just in case I had to emergency stop it before it did a short circuit. But that has shuffled nicely up to the front, and of course what that means is when the super sprinters comes back in, it's got space at the end to shuffle up. So that's got 2 trains running, but they're not very exciting ones. And really I don't want to speed either of them up because that wouldn't. What I'm going to try and do now is I've got the incline line running again. Now the idea of the incline line really is it is a loop, but it's not meant to be a usable loop. The incline was the first thing I built when I had an empty loft, and it runs the absolute perimeter of the usable area of the loft, and the reason why it does that is because it's an incline, and the more distance it covers, the less steep the gradient. So I've managed to get an incline in. It doesn't increase height on the corners, but even so, it's only a 2%, or just under 2%, I think, incline, and it means all of the trains I've got really don't struggle with it in the slightest, which was kind of the idea. But while I've only got the 3 lines and 2 of them are covered up, it's kind of a case of, well, I might as well use it. So I'm going to bring this 37 out and get it onto the incline. But in order to do that, it's going to have to run around the outside line a bit, which this little regional railways thing is on. So before I can get this thing out, I'm going to watch for the regional railways down here, because I think it's about to come around and past. Here it comes. So this junction just ahead is where the incline meets, and I can see it's got past now, so I'm just going to let it get a little bit further past and out of the way of all the points, and I know that I can just give that a rest down there now. So let's stop that, and now I'm going to come and get the 37 up the hill. So the idea here would be, again, I need to set its route, and this is clockwise line 3, which is that one, and I never used that, so I can get rid of that and get the 37, and let's put its light on. So let's get this moving out, give it a little bit of speed because it slows down a bit on the incline. So now this is coming around, what I need to do is set the incline points so that it goes up the hill, and for some reason I like doing these on the screen. I don't know why I haven't got a route set for them, but I guess it's just one click and it's easy. So this thing should now, even though there's a train further down there, hopefully it's not going to crash into it, and it's going to head up that hill. That red light's there obviously because there's an obstruction further down the line, but it should maybe have one of those little wings on it or something, that light, to say it's okay to go up the hill. But it's gone up the hill. So what I need to remember to do now, because I always forget, is close that crossover again so that nothing else gets tagged by it. I could also do with setting the route back to straight through so that it doesn't come through the storage line, and then I can set this back off on its way. And here is the 37 having made its way up the hill. That's the point, obviously, where it will join on to the upper deck, but progress is slow with that. And that's what I mean about the full. I quite like, actually, I'm wondering about putting some kind of baseboard on the back there, because I like just that little view of wagons going up or down a hill with maybe some stuff in the foreground as well. If I don't put a back scene across these near timbers, I can almost use the back there as a back scene, with the added bonus of a little train heading across it every now and again. Maybe looks a little bit more fun at this side with it going up the hill. I'll try and catch it. Yeah, just the kind of the little incline on it, and the view of those going up would, I think, be quite fun with a little hilly back scene behind it. Anyway, I digress. Let's try and get a train in now, because I've got 3 going around. What I could do, actually, is sometimes because of all the baseboard, it's easy to work out where a train is from here. So the clockwise one's just going down the back now, coming down under here. So when this is passed, oops, bang my head. Easier to bang your head when you've got a phone sticking out the front of it. The screen gives me all of the kind of occupied details, so I can see where trains are. I can see this one. This is the clockwise line, so as soon as this lights up, I've got a train that's about to come through here. And there it is. Could speed up a bit, couldn't it? There we go. And so what I'm going to do, because I never see that train really or anything on the clockwise line because the through line is down the back, with the goods train having cleared this outside line down here, I can set the route, I'm on the routes, that's why I can't see it, for clockwise line 3. And then at least that makes this bit a little bit busier when the 154, 144, 143, who knows, when it comes down down here now, it should, there we go, it'll at least come down through the gap and I'll see a little bit of it. I wasn't going to do anything scenic down here, but I can't help thinking it kind of is crying out for it. Some walls down the edges there and proper kind of bridge portals down there. Right, I'll do one train stop and then I'll kind of get it all back in and or swap and then get it all back in and parked again. So the in fact what I will do is this clockwise line isn't automated and I don't have a free, just need to be a bit clever with this. I want to get this class 43, the Swallow one, moved up to the front so I can get the 1.4 whatever it is on the back, but I don't have enough throttles on there, so I can start another tablet up and then just start another load of them. So let's go and get the one for class 43, sorry, Swallow, and see if I can just move it. This one is a temperamental one. The decoder needs reprogram. It's not quite right. It starts too slowly, but then there we go. That's just missed it. That'll do. So that's created it some space at the back. And next time this Super Sprinter comes round, I'll get it in and get something else out on the anti-clockwise line and then start bringing them all back in again, I think. In fact, that's almost not worth it. I might as well just start bringing them all back in now. So the 143, I'll tell you what I'm going to try and do. This 143, I was going to bring it in first, but I'm going to bring the freight train in first. So if I time this right, and now's probably a good time actually. Oh, no, it's not. I'm going to set the turnout and just see what the lights do. So down there, the lights are all green because there's no danger, no obstacles. But there's a 154 here. It going to come down here, and as soon as it passes that near signal, it's going to go red because there's obstruction on the line ahead. That being the 154 that's just gone through. So what I'm going to do, and I think now is a good time, I'm going to set this turnout to bring the 37 back in. So they're now set, but what should have happened down here now is, yeah, there's a caution light there and a red light there. So it can very quickly, in fact, no, that route's set, so I don't even need to do that. So as this comes down, what I really need to be on my marks with, if it hasn't come through already, here it is. This 154 now is kind of under caution. It says here it is, expecting it. There it is. It's under caution because it's under this light that's just visible here. And then down here it's under red, so I'm going to bring it down and stop it just while that stuff goes in. And if I move that turnout, that light would go red actually, but I'm not going to, because then I'd have two trains going on the same line, which is really going to confuse me. So as this 37 comes around, it should come into its storage line because that was set anyway. There it is. So I'm just gonna slow it down and park it on its spot there. I'll set the route again so that we've got the main through route, And now if I can find a set of points, this thing does have points, I just never use them, and I never gave them particularly useful names. There we go, incline. It's going to be incline bottom and incline bottom 2, I think. So if I don't know if I've got everything on the screen here, but if I now which one? Oh, there we go, they're thrown. So it's 3 and 4. I can see that they're thrown there. So if I set these two closed, that's what should have happened. The turnout, the signal then went green because there was no longer a turnout turned against the train beyond it. So back to the throttle now, and I can start this one back up. And now all that's left is to get them parked. So I've just missed that one, and I think I'm a bit too late for the 154, so I'll give them both another lap. With it being slow turnouts, I don't want to turn them when the train's too close, just in case it's not all set and finished, because certainly the one down there, the relays for the electro frogs don't set until after it's completed. But anyway, I've got the super sprinter coming around this way, and that goes onto line 3. So I'm going to set that onto line 3, and if let's do them both together. Let's get brave. That one's done as well. So let's go to, that's going to be on clockwise line 1. So they should both now be coming into the yard, and I'm going to stand in the middle because I'm not sure which one's going to come first. They're both pretty much at the back. It looks like the super sprinter's coming in first. Slow them both down, but they really are both coming in at the same time. Okay, that was a bad idea, wasn't it? Let's stop that. Oh, look at that. And then that one too. And silence. And that's it really. Obviously there's a big bit in the middle that I missed out, which is me sat on that chair, just happily watching trains go by. I think that's probably not video material, so it's just a case now of quitting everything, closing everything down, and kind of playing the beginning bit of the video in rewind to shut everything down and turn it all off.